Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna-katha Bhutale Srimate Murari Krishna Swami Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna-katha Bhutale Srimate Murari Krishna
Are you trying to wake up Mahavishnu or something? He's trying to sleep. How can you sleep to this kirtan? God, he's in a samadhi, transcendental yoga maya. Hare Krishna. I think he opened his eyes on that one. Maybe he went back to sleep, but he just looked, okay. Who's over there? Okay, who's chanting my name? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Welcome everybody. Happy to see everybody. You made it. All right, very good. Safe travel trip. It's not easy. Material world, like, right? So much pride, arrogance. Everybody thinks they're right. Everybody's defending what they think is theirs. And of course, everyone else is wrong. And then of course, Maya, since time immemorial, is flooding our mind and activities and thoughts with all of these different conceptions, misconceptions. Then we're hearing from so many so-called authorities in this world. Everybody's claiming to be absolute authority, and they're also just big speculators. And they're giving so much mis and disinformation, and it's already confusing enough. Prabhupada was saying, barely we even know what's going on in our own body, our own minds. What to speak of the body and the minds of other living entities. So it's very difficult to understand what's going on here. Krishna talking directly like he is to Arjuna. And he's also speaking through his disciplic succession, Parampara. And he's also manifesting and speaking through Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada said, this is the only thing that we should actually be hearing, is Krishna Parampara, according to Guru Sadhu Shastra. And that's a perfect scientific understanding, perfect knowledge from perfect source. And anything and everything else besides that is mental speculation, which is just some type of concoction because of Maya's controlling material mind, intelligence, and senses. So that's the world that we're finding ourselves in. We're always trying to establish ourselves as authorities. That's why people should listen to us. That's why they should respect us. That's why they should consider us something, somebody. Right? Someone asked this famous boxer, you know, when someone disrespects you, you feel like you want to kill them, you know? And he said, well, that all depends. He said, when I'm remembering that I'm nothing and nobody, then nothing really bothers me. It's only when I'm thinking I'm something and somebody, and I'm demanding some type of respect, then I feel disrespected. So just some foolish boxer, but he's speaking really nice truth, isn't it? So if we have big false ego, bodily conception of life, so much pride and arrogance, conceited nature is there, then we're very much offended. If we perceive any type of slight or disrespect, lack of attention, then we feel somehow or other offended. So this is a world where everyone's walking around feeling offended, right? And everybody is like a victim, right? Like we're all perfect, we don't deserve anything that's happening. It's everyone else's fault. Our fathers, our mothers, our families, the society, the upraising, the husband, the previous husband, the wife, the previous wife, the children, the neighbors, the society, the institution. As we're seeing everything in relationship to Krishna, therefore we can understand what's happening by mercy of Guru Krishna. If we understand properly, then we can act and also react properly. So this is really like some of the roots of what we've been trying to discuss. about different tattvas, jiva tattva, paramatma tattva. What are the tattvas we were trying to talk about? Maya tattva. That's the one he remembers more than most. So all of these tattvas, this is very scientific understanding from Krishna, Krishna Parampara, Guru Sadhu Shastra. So that must be heard through submissive all reception by the mercy of Krishna, Krishna Parampara, Shastra, Guru Sadhu Shastra. If we can hear that without false ego, right? I was thinking, it's like, I just had this thought, like, you're trying to see something and your friend, he has some glasses, right? Not the guru, not the guru's glasses. Right? Sometimes your friend's glasses. And sometimes your friend may have really thick glasses, right? And you see, he's always wearing those glasses. And then you say, okay, let me try them on, right? Then you put them on and you're like you can barely see anything, right? So if we are looking through the lens of the contamination of Maya, who is manipulating, contaminating, twisting, blurring, then how is our final thing that we're trying to understand? How will it be clearly seen and understood? And this is problem. So if you just wake up and then you have these bad glasses on, then whatever you're seeing, that's my world. That's just what I see, that's just what I think I see, that's just what I think I understand. And we're just progressing like that because we've not seen any other thing. Sometimes you see these stories like the little baby is like born deaf, and then they come up with some kind of technology where they can hear. And then sometimes they take the video. This is the first time my child has ever heard father's voice. And you just see this like little sad kid. He's just like, what's going on, you know? Cannot hear anything. He's deaf. And then they put this technology there. Then all of a sudden they hear father's voice, and immediately you see this baby start smiling, like so happy, because now he's actually being tuned into the actual reality. But before that, he never heard anything, so he doesn't know the difference. But if we're growing up with some type of blindness or not a good vision, then all of a sudden they come up with, laser treatment for your eyes. I remember my father, he always had glasses on. Always had trouble, legally blind in one of his eyes. Then he went for this laser treatment. And then he wasn't wearing any glasses. And I said, hey, what happened? Where's your glasses? He said, no, I don't need it anymore because I had this laser treatment. And I said, so you don't need the glasses? He said, no, not really. And now everything's 20/20. So his whole life is like legally blind in one eye. And that's just the way you look at the world and try to perceive it and understand it with all the different type of perception difficulties. And then all of a sudden you get your vision back or your hearing back. And you're seeing and you're hearing on a completely different platform. So until we try to understand what is that platform from Krishna's point of view, from transcendental point of view, instead of just trying to speculate to understand it, we actually start to understand, no, this is a gift, this is some mercy, some right of hearing, some purified mind and senses to be able to perceive it, to see it, to hear it, divine eyes, divine ears. That comes from outside. So as long as we're thinking we can see, we can hear, we're not looking for divine senses. We're not looking for divine eyes and divine ears, which comes outside of ourselves as a gift or some shower of mercy, some revelation. We think everything is perfectly contained within ourselves. There's no other way to perceive and understand anything. And you just have to strenuously push whatever intelligence, mind, and senses we have, and then try to come to some type of a conclusion. And of course that's always changing, because modes of nature are changing, and our perceptions are changing, our experiences are changing. So this is a very inferior way to understand absolute truth. So if we give up that faulty process, and we understand clearly that not only materially is it faulty, but it's definitely faulty if you're trying to understand transcendental or fourth dimensional information. And as soon as we understand that information is not accessible by our own strength, intelligence, scholarship, power of mental speculation, physical strength, experience, anything that we can muster up within ourselves, it's insufficient and it's faulty. So it's faulty and insufficient for what we're trying to understand. Even materially, we don't understand so many topics. Prabhupada said, even you don't understand what's going on in your own body and your own mind, which is purely three-dimensional topics and elements. So what to speak about fourth-dimensional topics and elements and personalities and sounds and visions and everything that's diverse on transcendental platform. So that includes Krishna, Krishna's devotees, holy name, the Dham, the pastimes. All of this is going on fourth dimension. But we're sitting there in a three-dimensional, faulty, insufficient space with faulty and insufficient consciousness and intelligence, mind, and senses, which are being governed, twisted, controlled, contaminated by material energy, by Maya, and then which, on the strength of our mental speculation, so-called pride and arrogance in our intelligence, we're trying to speculate what is going on transcendental realm. So I was just reading Prabhupada, many things I was reading, and Prabhupada was talking about those who are intelligent, those who are wise, they gather their intelligence and their faith and their understanding from the scriptures, from the Vedas, Guru Sadhu Shastra. So that is not according to your perception or your experience or logical, rational thinking, but it's actually scientific information which is delivered from that realm. And I remember my spiritual master, he would sometimes say that, you see, you've never been there before. And that was like that alone was like a big revelation, because we're trained like we were already there, right? And now we just have to somehow remember it once we wake up from this temporary sleeping state. And then all of a sudden the personality who's from that place is saying, you're not from this place. You've never gone to that place. The only chance you have is personalities from that place come down here and literally like collect you and shower some kind of special mercy and blessings on you to qualify you. That's why it says by the mercy of Krishna one gets such a bona fide guru. And by the mercy of bona fide guru, then you can understand and get Krishna. So those two mercies are required. So without those two mercies, us just sitting here independently acting like our own gurus, as if we can, by the strength of our own material capacity and capability, understand what's going on transcendentally and eternally, and in eternity, then it's foolishness. And we don't even know that it's foolishness because we believe that that's how you can come to understand it. Otherwise we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't just keep doing it. And Prabhupada said, because you always do that to get knowledge in the material world, then naturally you're going to think you can do the same thing when it comes to trying to understand what's going on in the spiritual world. Because that's all we know. So now all of a sudden we're faced with, after all of these years, a new way of gathering knowledge and information, which has nothing to do with, how do you say, since time immemorial, our experience dealing with time immemorial, intelligence, mind, and senses, and now all of a sudden we're coming to this moment of time where we're being told to just reject all of that as being an obstacle, an impediment, because it's based on false ego and pride and arrogance. It's not based on, begging for mercy. It's completely opposite. That's why my Gurudev, Guru Sadhu Shastra, Vaishnavas, they say, you cannot be proud and arrogant and beg for mercy at the same time. And especially if we're coming like in a challenging mood, then Prabhupada says you cannot challenge God and know Him at the same time. And it's the same for the Guru. You cannot just challenge him and think, okay, I'll just defeat this person. If you have a question, ask it with an open heart, open mind, and see if Krishna and Guru can somehow or other purify you and persuade you according to Guru Sadhu and Shastra, and see if that is not in fact the answer to your question, and even perhaps opening or broadening our mind, intelligence, or consciousness beyond what we knew before. So I know how much advancement I got just by reading and studying, and by doing sadhana for many years. And you could scientifically measure that. But only you can scientifically measure that when you have some measuring instruments. Because if that's all you know, and we're not the best judge of our own position or condition or character, because of this false ego, because of our pride and arrogance, conceited nature, we're not finding all of these different types of unlimited Himalayan mountains of, sinful desire, sinful reaction, or demoniac qualities. We're like, okay, I have a few bad qualities, but Himalayan mountains, right? So we cannot really perceive it. That's why Prabhupada says we're supposed to be the knower in our own body. Who is that sadhu with the beard? Who is that gentleman?
My name is Shubhanga.
I thought that was you.
Really?
Hare Krishna.
Hari-katha.
Finally we meet.
Yes.
Are you leaving? Are you running away?
No. I just got cold.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. Because I wanted to meet you for so many days.
And me, I wanted to meet you.
Yeah.
So I found it somehow.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, as usual, we didn't plan to talk about all of this, but we're trying to catch up the new people with what our discussions have been. And then we were talking about the different tattvas. And then you were asking the question about Mahavishnu, right? And how he's in some sleep, right? And then I was trying to find in the Bhagavatam, and then Krishna didn't let me. He like shut me off. And I was like determined, because I like a good like philosophical, intellectual, spiritual battle. I love it, right? I can't play sports anymore, so this is like how I get my enjoyment, But somehow Krishna didn't let me do it. And then when I started studying today, that led into like all afternoon, like reading all of these topics. I said, oh, no wonder he didn't let me look at all of that, because we were at the end of the class. And this really requires like a much bigger kind of discussion, because it's, again, it's very subtle and it's philosophical. And other day, everybody looked like they had a big breakfast. And they look, Prabhupada said in the morning, have a break fast, not to break head. So it looks like everyone had a big break head that day. And I hadn't eaten anything yet, so I was all fired up, and I'm looking around, and it was like, what's he talking about? What's he talking about? Jiva Tattva, Maya Tattva, Isha Tattva. So anyway, that's why Krishna just shut me off. Right? So now, if you like, we could discuss a little bit about that, because it's actually a very fascinating topic. Because we're talking, Sergey, you're good? All right. So, yeah, it's a very interesting topic, because this was related to Jiva Tattva. And then, of course, we went from Jiva Tattva to Guru Tattva. It's like, how do you connect Jiva Tattva, Guru Tattva? So all of these tattvas are connected, because everything is coming from Krishna. It's all Krishna's energies. Krishna is controlling all of it. That Brahman, that includes the separated material energies of the gross body and the subtle. Yasha prasadat bhagava prasada, yasha prasada nagati kutopi. Then Prabhupada says, if you want to know if Krishna is happy with you, then find out if your guru is happy with you. Right? If we're running around saying, I don't know who is my guru, well, who's going to tell you if Krishna is happy with you? And then if we're acting like our own guru, then whenever we're a little bit not suffering as much, we're calling that peaceful. And saying, okay, I'm not suffering so badly today, so Krishna must be happy with me. And Prabhupada said that type of definition of happiness, where you have a temporary cessation of your normal suffering condition. Temporary cessation of your normal suffering condition, and you're calling that happiness. And Prabhupada gives the example of the man whose head is in the water, he's being drowned, and then somehow or other somebody comes and just grabs his head, pulls him out of the water, he breathes some fresh air, and he says, oh, happiness. So you just get your head out of the water, you're drowning, and you say, okay, this is my happiness. So that's a material conception of happiness, and then we're trying to extrapolate that into association with the Rama, the reservoir of all pleasure. So we are assuming a lot. And why we're doing that is we're not checking our intelligence, mind and senses by the restrictions of those tattvas and siddhanta. So whatever we're thinking, whatever we're trying to understand, everything has to come in line with Krishna, Vedas, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, Parampara. And that's what protects us from mental speculation. And then this thing can go on, you can just speculate endlessly and never come to the conclusion. So we have to make sure that we hear and understand scientifically all of these tattvas by hearing submissively from Tattvavid Guru. By his mercy, Krishna's mercy, Shastra mercy, then you'll understand it. You'll get some understanding of that. Now, when you see how you're using, applying intelligence, mind and senses, we have to say, is this in line with the science, the exacting science of Krishna consciousness according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra? If we don't have that understanding, and everyone's giving their own definitions of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, then that means that is not absolute anymore. Now it's just, well, that's Guru, Sadhu and Shastra according to you. That's not my understanding of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. You have your truth, I have my truth. Well, that's your truth, right? And it's like this, now it's some modern psychology, right? If somebody is disagreeing with you, he's a troll, right? He's a troll, like living under the bridge, right? He's just less than human, right? And then if you're trying to be a little cultured, then you just say, that's nice. According to the First Amendment of the United States, you have the right to free speech. And if you want to be an ass, that's totally up to you. And Excuse me? All the mothers are looking at me. You shouldn't say like that. Mothers are always correcting the children. So we have to stay in line. So whenever we don't like something, we cannot accommodate something, or we think we know better, and we want to correct them, but they don't want to listen, then we say, well, that's your truth. That's good. That's nice that you have your own truth. But Prabhupada says it doesn't matter what is your opinion, what is your so-called truth. It doesn't matter, Prabhupada says, what is my opinion? And what is my so-called truth? What is Krishna's opinion? That has to be understood. But if we are trying to understand it in all defective ways, and we're coming to some type of relative conclusions and definitions of what is Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they want to help us anyway, that's why they're all coming here. And then what do we say? We say, well, since I can't understand it, nobody can understand it. And because most people don't understand, who have no karma, no jnana, no yoga, no bhakti, no qualification, most fallen souls in the most dreadful, sinful age. That means there's some intention of those personalities from transcendental realm to manifest their personalities and their mercy and power here to purify us and to qualify us and educate us with that transcendental intelligence and faith. Does that make sense? Then whatever else we're trying to understand, which is all inconceivable, to conditioned souls, it's all inconceivable. So all you've done is your collection of friends have finally come to the conclusion after 50 years of studying the Shastras that it's inconceivable and nobody can understand it. Only Prabhupada. And because it's inconceivable and nobody can understand it, we're just going to build the bridge. Right? You know, the bridge to nowhere. Right? So then you're on a bridge and it's like, okay, we don't know what the conclusion is, but at least we're on a bridge. Right? And then no one's asking the question like, well, you know, is this bridge going to get us there? Right? And is this bridge, you know, have they agreed to accept the other end of this bridge? Right? Doesn't the bridge have to connect to somewhere? So all of these things are not being understood, but they're actually admitting that to conditioned soul, it's inconceivable. And no matter how much you study, no matter how much sadhana you do, no matter how intelligent, scholarship, strength, ability, experience, logical, rational thinking that you have, it's all a disqualification. Think about that. Not only does it not work, it cannot even closely get you there, but as long as you keep trying that, it's a disqualification. And until we fully realize that, we will not stop trying to understand these inconceivable topics with a, you know, faulty, incompatible and incomplete kind of instruments, faulty instruments. So this is a very important discussion, because otherwise we're going to sit here and analyze what is the quality of Mahavishnu's sleeping. Right? The longer this class goes, the only thing you can think of, what is going to be the quality of your sleeping? Especially after traveling all day and night. But you're lucky, instead of worrying about your sleeping, we're gonna worry about Mahavishnu's sleeping. And believe it or not, that will make you sleep better tonight. Seriously. Because your mind and senses will be more peaceful. And whatever's disturbing you will just leave you if you get the special mercy. And amazing, just talking about Mahavishnu's dream state and sleeping, how that can make you also peaceful and restful for the night. So look at it in a positive way. Try not to sleep during the class though. That might be a little too early. So I found many interesting things. We can just discuss like that. Is that all right? We'll see how far we can go with that. Now Prabhupada says, whenever Srila Prabhupada is speaking, whenever Acharyas and Parampara are speaking, they always quote Guru Sadhu Shastra, because they want to substantiate their realization, their thought, their understanding according to the science of Guru Sadhu and Shastra, according to Vedic, which is Vedic knowledge, which is the Siddhanta, which is the ultimate evidence. Right? So that is the evidence, and then if everything else lines up within that evidence, with realization and effect, then we can accept it as authoritative or absolute. So somebody's helping me. Because I'm not a scholar and I just read a little bit. I feel like the Yamadutas. I just had a good teacher. So let's see, where do we start? Because this is a big topic. We'll just do a few and then we'll open up discussion, right? I'm not going to I'll just give you a few interesting points, right? So Prabhupada, he's talking in 3rd Canto, 11th chapter, calculation of time from the atom, text 32. So it's explaining that with his eyes closed, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, he lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta, and the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets condition, this Yoga Nidra, is internal potency or Yoga Maya. And just like, I was thinking, just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my Gurudev would say, why are you putting a peacock feather on Mahaprabhu? Because Mahaprabhu, he coming in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he wants to cry for Krishna. So if he's thinking he's Krishna, then how can he cry for himself? So he's using this Yoga Maya to put himself in a particular mood and purpose according to that lila, which enhances that lila or pastime or the function or teaching of that pastime. So if Krishna is manifesting as Mahavishnu to create material universes, then he's going to lay there and say, I should be with the cowherd boys and cowherd girls, and I'm just caught up here, like breathing out material universes, right? So the Yoga Maya makes him forget, his own Yoga Maya makes him forget, so that he can do the function of that particular lila and not confuse it with his original, form, personality, association, and leelas. So when he's manifesting this internal potency, the Yoga Maya, Prabhupada says that word yoga is used, it should be understood, it refers to that which is transcendental. So Prabhupada's explaining that the Mayavadis, whenever they think sleeping or awake, they think material body. So the problem is, if you say the Lord is sleeping, then they think, oh, that means he has a material body. That's a Mayavadi. That's a Mayavad. That's why I was so strong on what is the ultimate point of why they're trying to establish that the Lord was in some type of sleep. But it's not material sleeping, it's Yoga Maya, it's a Yoga Nidra, which is actually the internal potency, Swarup Shakti of the Lord. And so we should not confuse the two. Or just like Prabhupada's example, when you put the deities to rest at night, then why are you putting the deities to rest at night? So they're doing this yoga nidra until the morning Mangalarti, and then once again, you're waking them, you're dressing them, you're feeding them, you know, they're being worshipped. So in this way, the Mayavadis, they say this is all material conception. So the spiritual energy is just manifesting in some type of form that we people can all understand. And so therefore they try to equate those activities which appear to be material as the same as spiritual. So it's a nice practical idea. Otherwise, what's the Lord just supposed to stand on the altar the whole night, and then the lights are off, no devotees are chanting, right? He's just standing there like it's pitch black, right? It's cold, in the Mayapur, right? And then he's like, I wonder when the devotees are going to come. Right? Krishna's always with his devotees, right? So what is he, just standing there by himself? Because God doesn't sleep? Because he's transcendental, he's eternal? So just some different ways to look at it. And as we read Prabhupada's different statements on it, it's meant to just expand our thoughts, our ideas, our consciousness, and understanding of these topics. And by the mercy of Guru Krishna and Shastra, we can get a wider understanding, but according to Siddhanta, according to the presentation of the tattvas. So if we don't understand that scientifically, then we'll misunderstand everything because we don't have a proper, you know, absolute measuring instruments. Right? So I'll just give you a few and then we can just see. This is another one, and this is writings of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Brahma Samhita in 512. And it said that same Mahavishnu is spoken of by the name of Narayana in this mundane world. So from that eternal person has sprung the vast expanse of the water of the spiritual causal ocean. I don't know how you're going to translate this one. But that Supreme Lord who's coming in the material world, Mahavishnu, to create in the material world, he's laying in a state of divine sleep. It's translated divine sleep. Again, yoga nidra in the waters of the spiritual causal ocean. So what is that divine sleep? So when we sleep at night, are we going into divine sleep? We're either in a deep state of, Shuddha Tama, unconscious, or we're having nightmares, or we're dreaming about stuff we're not supposed to be dreaming about. It's not exactly spiritual divine sleep. We're waking up awful angry from Mangalarti. Anyone comes near me, I'm going to kill them. Good morning, Prabhu. In the purport, it says Yoga Nidra, divine sleep, is spoken of as ecstatic trance. An ecstatic trance, which is the nature of the bliss of the true subjective personality. So is that how you describe your sleep? Ecstatic trance, which is emanating the nature of the true bliss from the platform of the soul. Are we sleeping like that? No? I don't think so. So it's not Yoga Maya then, I take it? It's still influenced by Mahamaya? And also there's another description where it says that that the Lord, if he's in the spiritual world, is awake, he's engaged, transcendentally situated in his divine original form, personality, relationships, leelas. But when he comes into the material world, in order to manifest the material creation, then that's like the sleeping state or dreaming state. Because that's not his natural kind of preferred state of being awake or conscious or engaged. So sometimes it's also explained like that. You catching it? I didn't know we were going to be talking about that. Let's see what else we can. These are like golden nuggets. I went looking for golden nuggets today. And that's why I'm a little late. I lost track of the time. I was reading about Yoga Nidra. Here's one when it's talking about the yogis practicing yoga, like real yogis. This is in Prabhupada's purport, 7932, Prahlad pacifying Lord Nrsimhadev with prayers, Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada's quoting that Srila Madhvacharya, he concisely states that the Lord is Tuya Stita, always situated in transcendence. And transcendence, there is no such thing as wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep. So that's why we had to make distinction between material dreaming and sleeping and transcendental, internal yoga, maya potency, that in that transcendental Vasudeva platform or Swarup Shakti platform, there's no such thing as wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep. It's always situated in transcendence. So the purpose of that creation, the Lord teaching us, training us, using that temporary material energy, may put us in the state of being conscious of wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep, but it doesn't mean that the Lord is. Just like Nitya Siddha, Mahabhagavata, Premi Bhakta, they're not contaminated by the material energy like conditioned souls who are in material world. So although they come here, just like Krishna comes here, he's never affected or contaminated, controlled, disturbed by material energy. Prabhupada says the practice of yoga is similar to Yoga Nidra of Mahavishnu. Yogis are advised to keep their eyes half closed, but this state is not at all one of sleep. In one place Prabhupada was calling it transcendental samadhi. So this type of divine transcendental sleep is not really sleep, it's just some type of internal spiritual meditation or samadhi. Yogis are advised to keep their eyes half closed, but this state is not at all one of sleep. Although imitation yogis, especially in the modern age, they manifest their so-called yoga by sleeping. And you wake them up and they say, oh, I was in samadhi. Thank you for bringing me back from that transcendental realm. Like snoring. That's a very interesting type of samadhi. Sounds more like deep sleep. Like Shuddha Tama. Like a pure ignorance. Are you enjoying your discussion about Mahavishnu and Yoga Nidra? It's very interesting. I was thinking about this, that all of these different incarnations, Mahavishnu in this material creation, first incarnation when Krishna wants to come to material world. So all of those names of the Lord in those different incarnations, it's all absolute, it's all non-different from Krishna, and Krishna is the source, avatari, of all of the avatars. But different devotees, they prefer to understand the Lord with a particular name and form. So just like I was thinking that if you went to like Hanuman, right, and you try to, talk about Krishna, and it says he has that picture with Hanuman like opening his chest, right, and Lord Ram is there. That Ishtadev is Lord Ram. He only wants to see Lord Ram, right? Or this other, was it Narayana? He went to see the gopis, and they said, we're not interested in Narayana. We were interested in Krishna. We want to see Krishna. So all of the different devotees, they have some Ishtadev, some conception, some understanding of the Lord in the way that they want to worship the Lord. And the Lord in all of those forms and all of those incarnations or avatars are non-different from Krishna. But the Krishna is the original avatari of all the other incarnations. But when Prabhupada is talking about Krishna, no matter what incarnation or manifestation Krishna is manifesting in, Prabhupada is saying that's Krishna. Although technically, it's Mahavishnu. So even it says when Krishna wants to come here into the material world, he comes through Mahavishnu. Right? But just like Uddhava, when he goes to the Brajabhumi, right, they don't want to hear all of this gyan. The gopis and Mother Jashoda, Nanda Maharaj, they don't want to hear that your son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. They were like, why are you torturing us, bringing us all of this type of conversation? That's our Gopal, that's our baby. We don't want to hear all this philosophy, it's disturbing. You're supposed to be pacifying us, you're agitating us. You're getting in the way of our rasa, our relationship, the conception that we want to have of Krishna. So if you ask Krishna's devotees, everything they see is Krishna. Yes, we all came from Krishna. Nothing is separate from Krishna. Right? Krishna is the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything is emanating from him. Really? Which Krishna? So that's why you have to understand all of these things, because Prabhupada said, Krishna. Which Krishna? Which incarnation? Which personality? Which form? All of that has to be understood in tattva, otherwise we'll easily misunderstand. You see why if you don't hear, get mercy from Krishna, Guru Sadhu Shastra, you have nothing to measure it. And if you're just reading it in material consciousness with no experience, having never been there, from a three-dimensional platform, fourth-dimensional information, we're definitely going to be limited and faulty in our understanding. And therefore we will misunderstand. So that's why on one side you just said how the Lord is in a deep sleep, or He's like a dream state. So on a surface level, it's not so much that you can say, okay, let's analyze what is yoga nidra, that the Lord is in some type of samadhi or yoga maya, right? It's more that it's dangerous because Mayavadis use that. That's why immediately I became defensive, because I could understand that this is a potential manipulation of that concept to be used by them illegally in order to, misrepresent the truth, which is offensive to the Lord, and then giving those false and misunderstood conceptions and understandings to innocent people who maybe never heard the topics before. So I just tried to be careful, and that's what I was perceiving, that because it's very much tied to this, that everyone has to buy into this illusion that these personalities are all, from Goloka Vrindavan, and they're all Nitya Siddhas, Premi Bhaktas, and they're just living this temporary dream in the material world as a hippie, doing LSD, marijuana, all of these other narcotics, drinking alcohol, right? This is, we never left Vrindavan. Whatever you think you're seeing and understanding, this is all just a dream that has no reality. You see how dangerous it can be? That's why it's very subtle. And especially when people have not heard properly scientifically in an authorized way, they're dangerous. They're dangerous to themselves due to their addiction to mental speculation, and they're dangerous to others who are just listening to their presentation or intellectual prowess based on their perception of Guru Sava Shastra. In the Shastra, this yoga nidra, in the yoga it's called dhyana vastita, a state of full meditation. But this is meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That type of yoga practice does not mean sleeping. We may try to shut off, the material perception of the senses in order to be more internal. And then in that sense you could say you're asleep to the material sensory experience or perception, even though you're conscious, because you're trying to understand on transcendental soul platform. So materially it looks like sleeping, because not really conscious, but internally awake and spiritually situated, this type of internal spiritual trance. So in that sense, materially sleeping, but transcendentally awake. Isn't there that verse in Bhagavad Gita where it says, what is night? How's it go? Right? What is night for the yoga, for the, what is it?
Materialist.
Yeah.
And then what is day for the self-realized soul?
Right, it's like opposite.
Yeah.
Completely opposite. So this was just kind of an interesting quote because it also breaks down to yoga nidra in terms of even what yogis are trying to do. Because then you understand that it's not really sleeping or dreaming, because that internal realization is absolute. So that's not really a dream. The material life is the dream in the sense that it's not based on the reality. But on soul platform, realizing we're eternal servants of Krishna and being conscious and fixed in that service, that is the real life. That is the original, authentic, pure form and purpose of the living entity. And this illusion, that is compared to be dream state. So though Krishna is creating a situation that creates a dream state for the souls who want to forget about Krishna, they want to be in this type of dream state of forgetfulness or due to the ignorance. So because the Lord's creating that, doesn't mean that He's at all affected by that creation or the purpose of that creation. Are you alright? You like this? Is it alright? And even though the Lord's devotees, when they come, they also descend with the Lord from that Vaikuntha, from Nitya Siddha. When they're sleeping, they're also not really sleeping also. They're also in this yoga nidra. So there's these pastimes when the devotees are sleeping, or even Lord Gaurasundar when he's supposedly sleeping, the Lord is acting like a child, and then he's going to the room and he's sleeping in front of mother and father, but he's not really sleeping, he's in a yoga nidra. And all the other residents, all the other eternal associates of the Lord who are part of that pastime, they're all in their room sleeping. But Prabhupada says that the people of the house and the village were sleeping in the soothing, they were sleeping in the soothing lap of Yogamaya. Sleeping in the soothing lap of Yogamaya, or transcendental Samadhi. By the Lord's will, they did not awaken from their sleep, and they did not disturb the Lord's pastimes. So when the Lord wants to enjoy His pastimes, He doesn't want the whole house to be woken up. So He's just keeping everybody in in the soothing lap of Yogamaya, so that they can be in transcendental Samadhi, meditating on the Lord, and then the Lord can enact His different transcendental pastimes. Did you ever really discuss about Mahavishnu sleeping before? That's why I understood there's a lot to this topic. There's not just like we just touched on like a few points, right? Let me find another good one for you. Prabhupada was speaking in a room conversation, July 17, 1976, New York. And one Indian man, he's quoting from the Brahma Samhita, and he's quoting Lord Brahma. And it's saying there that Vishnu, Mahavishnu, is creating all of the planetary systems, and he's in his yoga nidra. He is the original Govinda, and I worship him, Brahma says. So this Indian man saying, so that is why both names are used synonymously. So Govinda and Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Narayana. And that is why people are questioning me. And he's saying to Prabhupada, so I have difficulty answering to them. Because in India, many people say that Vishnu is Bhagavan. And in one sense, it's true. because it's non-different from Krishna. But the real question is, who's the original, avatari? And that's Krishna. Because Krishna says, everything is emanating from me. I'm the seed-giving Father, source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything is emanating from me. I'm the cause of all causes. So he's established, and not only Krishna is saying, but Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Srimati Radharani, Balaram, all of the devotees, all of the demigods, they all understand and establish that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is Bhagavan, Avatari. So this Indian man was saying that many times people are questioning me how he's saying Govinda, then he's saying Vishnu. And even Prabhupada explained that even when Krishna comes into the material world, it goes through the medium of Mahavishnu. So if Krishna is coming through Mahavishnu, then it looks like Krishna is coming from Mahavishnu. That's where that understanding comes from. But it's just that Krishna is using his own vehicle by which he can enter in through his own Shakti, his own Swarup Shakti, which is not different from himself. Right? So if you're like the father, or you can drive any car you want to go visit your family, right? That's up to you. You could have like 5, 6 different cars. And he's saying that all other incarnations are potentially situated in the original body of the primeval Lord. Thus, according to one's opinion, one may address him as any one of the incarnations. This is very much important regarding Jiva Tattva. It's critical. Because Prabhupada, wherever he sees Krishna. Even if he sees Lord Nrsingadev, he said, oh, my Krishna came as Lord Nrsingadev to save his devotees. Right? So he only sees Krishna, just like Hanuman only sees Lord Ram. He understands everything, he understands all the different incarnations, but his Ishtadev, the Lord of his heart, is Ram, Lord Ram. And Krishna, or Srila Prabhupada, right, being eternal associate of Radha and Krishna, right, coming from Brajabhumi, Nityasiddha Prema Bhakta, that's the Ishtadev, that's the Lord of his heart. So whatever he sees, whatever incarnation is there, oh, that's my Lord, that's Krishna. So it's very important to understand. So this point here, Prabhupada said, it is not contradictory for a devotee to call the Supreme Lord by any one of the various names of his planetary expansions. Because the original personality of Godhead includes all such categories. Since the planetary expansions exist within the original person, one may call him by any of these names. In Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata, Lord Chaitanya says, Lord Chaitanya is saying, I was lying asleep in the ocean of milk, but I was awakened by the call of Nada, of Sri Advaita Prabhu. So Mahaprabhu was saying, I'm sleeping there in the ocean, causal ocean, and my devotee, he called me, so I came. I immediately came here. So of course we know Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but in the mood of Srimati Radharani, so it's combined incarnation. And the Lord himself, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was saying, yes, I was lying asleep in the ocean of milk, but I was wakened by the call of Nada, Sri Advaita Prabhu. So this means Shirodakshayi Vishnu. So he's explaining that I am that same Shirodakshayi Vishnu. And I was laying there in my pastime as Shirodakshayi Vishnu, lying in the ocean of milk, and my devotee, Nada, Sri Advaita Prabhu, calling me, crying to me. And so I came down. Some say that Sri Krishna is directly Naranarayan. Others say he's directly Vamana. Some say that Krishna is the incarnation of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. But none of these statements is impossible. Each of them is as correct as the other. So Prabhupada is saying, yes, we were with Krishna, we came from Krishna. Which Krishna? That's why if we don't understand the tattva, it's very easy just to read it. No, Prabhupada says right here, we came from Krishna. And Prabhupada said, they're all Vishnu tattva. They're all Vishnu tattva. And then the Indian man's telling Srila Prabhupada, in fact, I remember very vividly in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you wrote that it was Kshirodakshayi Vishnu who came down to bless Dhruva Maharaj. When the planetary system started trembling because of his severe tapasya. So he's doing such severe tapasya, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu himself came down to see Dhruva Maharaj. So this is why this Indian man is saying, people are questioning me continuously, how can you call Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not Vishnu? And I say, well, it's all Vishnu tattva. But it's very difficult to explain to them what is the actual position of Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada says, that is already decided by the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the first canto, 1.3.28. Ete chamsha kala punsa krishnas tu bhagavan swayam. Out of all of the above mentioned incarnations, either the plenary portions, the portions of the plenary portions of the Lord, even it says the Lord incarnates, you cannot count the incarnations of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets wherever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. So material world means demons, means atheists. So they have to come there. Krishna says, I come there to protect my devotees, destroy, kill the demons, re-establish religious principles. I descend again and again and again in the material world. So when he comes, he's taking on these different forms and incarnations and personalities with particular missions, but it's Krishna, but just different color, different form, different name, different function or purpose. And Prabhupada says that too, that name, Krishna, in that incarnation of God, Krishna is also included there. But this Krishna, he is the origin, avatari. So that's why if you just keep pressing on Krishna as the origin, and you say, go back home, back to Godhead, that means you're going back to the origin of all the other previous incarnations. So that's our ultimate goal. But which particular incarnation manifested, came in the material world, right? It says even all the different incarnations of the Lord, all the devotees of the Lord, they're all coming through Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. And that first expansion is Baladev. Baladev means Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. So the Lord, all the Lord's devotees they're manifesting in the material world through the vehicle of Balaram, Nityananda, Ram, as Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So you can say that Shirodakshaya Vishnu is Balaram. So first manifestation of Krishna is Balaram. First Krishna, then Balaram. So that's up to Krishna how he wants to come and appear in this world, and which vehicles he wants to use, in which forms, in what names. Right? Wherever you go, right, don't you put on different colored dress and you want to be seen in a particular kind of way? Isn't that also changing according to who you're associating with? What is the purpose of your coming and your meeting? Is it formal? Is it informal? Is it family? Is it friend? Is it some kind of an authority? So we're gonna adjust ourselves accordingly, according to the relationships and the purpose and the dress. So where do you think all of that is originating from? That's all originating from the Lord.
All the incarnations are actually Balram.
Huh?
All the incarnations are Balram.
Yeah. Comes from Krishna to Balaram. And then they're all just manifesting into different other types of innumerable incarnations. The predominant ones are there, right? They're like Purusha avatars, Lila avatars, right? Shakti Avesh avatars. There's like 6, I think, different kind of main type of incarnations of avatars, and how Krishna is coming in those different categories of avatars. So Prabhupada is saying, so we have to take direction. You cannot think this out. We have to take direction from those personalities who are from that place, who according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, the books, the law books, scientific explanation, the Lord Himself is telling. This is where I'm going to come, this is the family I'm going to be born in, this is what my color, this is what my body is going to look like, this is what my mission is going to be, this is the function, the purpose of my appearance, my incarnation, internally, externally, it's all described. And it's explained that it's described there so that nobody will get cheated. Because especially in Kali Yuga, so many Bhagavans are there, so many Gurus are there, so many incarnations are there. And many times people say something like that, and Prabhupada said, okay, where are you mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam? I didn't quite hear about your incarnation, Bhagavan. So we have to take the direction, and that is what is being explained, Prabhupada said. So even if you say Krishna is Vamana, there's nothing wrong. If you believe that Krishna is incarnation of Vishnu, there's nothing wrong. And this Indian man said, no, I'm not believing like that. And Prabhupada said, no, others, not you. And he's like, I believe in Krishna, that He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada saying, others, we simply accept, yes, it's all right. That's all. So that's a fact, because when Krishna comes, He comes through Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So who is that Shirodakshaya Vishnu? Is Balaram. As original source of Shirodakshaya Vishnu. And that Balaram, Shirodakshaya Vishnu is Super Soul, Paramatma. That's why we say there's Nityananda, Ram, Balaram, Guru Tattva, Chetu Guru, manifestation of Guru, that Balaram, Nityananda, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, manifestation. Prabhupada says sometimes Mahavishnu, he wanted to go see Krishna. That's interesting. Mahavishnu is like, I've been sleeping here long enough with this whole Leela. I want to go see Krishna. And Prabhupada said that is also mentioned in the Bhagavata. And then he took Arjuna with him. So Mahavishnu took Arjuna with him to go see Krishna. And this Indian man saying, that's right, that's right, that's right. So, some nectar. So I'll just make this the last one because I don't want to go too much for you. Remember the other day we were talking about how in the course of eternity, even our time immemorial can just be like a speck, right? And we were talking about, Lord Brahma, and we have just this one Brahma and this one universe, and then one day of his life is 1,000 cycles of all the yugas. So then here in this calculation of time from the Adam, 3rd canto, 11th chapter, the translation, it says the duration of 2 parts of Brahma's life, as mentioned above, is calculated to be equal to less than 1 second for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited and is the cause of all causes in the universe. So in the Purport, Prabhupada says that the great sage Maitreya is given a considerable description of the time of different dimensions, beginning from the atom up to the duration of life of Lord Brahma is 1,000 cycles of the yugas, one day. Right, so the 2 segments, and then the night is the other segment, right? And then he lives, I think, for 100 years, right? So that amount of time, those 2 segments of time, in the 100-year life of Lord Brahma, one Brahma and one planet, as compared to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the entire duration of the life of Brahma is calculated to be less than a second in the Lord's time. So that's, think about that, right? So that at least it's like some standard is there for Lord Brahma's length of his life, right? So that amount of time, and over 100 years, is less than 1 second of the Lord's time. And that's being explained also in the Brahma Samhita. I worship Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, whose plenary portion is Mahavishnu. All the heads of the innumerable universes, the Brahmas, they live only by taking shelter of the time occupied by one of his breaths. So his whole life, Lord Brahma's whole life is one breath of Mahavishnu. Right? And then we're going to sit here in Tamagun and Rajagun and speculate. I mean, think about how foolish we look. Right? What are we going to understand? That's why it's all based on mercy. Stop trying to understand it. Please. Just admit, okay, I'm a fool. Even when they asked Mahaprabhu, he said, look, I'm just a fool. My spiritual master considered me a fool. Of course, he's not a fool. But they consider themselves like that. So, because unless we're completely humbled out, completely dependent, then how we can get the kind of mercy that's required to understand these topics? And not just theoretically, we don't even understand it theoretically. What to speak of, transcendentally, practically, right? So Prabhupada says the impersonalists, they do not believe in the form of the Lord. And thus, they would hardly believe in the Lord sleeping. Their idea is obtained by a poor fund of knowledge. And these are great scholars. They're doing so much austerity, so much study, their whole life. We could not even do what are they doing. But after all of that study, all of that austerity, all of that sadhana, they're coming to the wrong conclusion. In the end, they just get puffed up. I'm a scholar, I'm austere, I'm this, I'm that, I'm Brahman, right? You guys are all engaged in Maya. So they're puffed up. So the end result is that they have a poor fund of knowledge. Just like Krishna talks about those who worship the demigods. He's calling them less intelligent. They have a poor fund of knowledge because they're running after some gross or subtle material sense gratification, and because of that, Krishna steals their intelligence. Then you get the Vanshana instead of Kripa. So unless we're completely humbled out, servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, not just externally, oh Prabhu, I take the dust off your lotus feet, I put it on my head, dasosmi, not that kind of drama. Like really, helpless, hopeless, admit your defeat materially. All the Vaishnavas, whoever got Krishna, whoever cried for Krishna, right, from the core of the heart, they admitted their defeat. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Gopinath, I admit my defeat. Arjuna, I admit my defeat. As long as we're not admitting any defeat, then we're not going to be on a genuine platform of humility. Anyway. So they have a poor fund of knowledge, and all their calculations are according to the terms of man's capacity. All of your calculations, all of our measuring is according to our conception and terms of our own man's capacity. They think that the existence of the Supreme is just the opposite of active human experiences. Because the human being has senses, the Supreme must be without senses. Because the human being has a form, the Supreme Lord, or the Supreme must be formless. And because the human being sleeps, the Supreme must not sleep. The Srimad Bhagavatam, however, does not agree with such impersonalists. It is clearly stated herein that the Supreme Lord rests in Yoga Nidra. As previously discussed, he becomes, and because he sleeps, he must breathe. Right? If you say someone can't sleep, he's not a human, then he's not breathing. But here's the Lord, he's breathing and he's sleeping. But the Mayavadi said, no, this is material conception. Because he sleeps, naturally he must breathe, and the Brahma Samhita, written by Lord Brahma, confirms that within his breathing period, innumerable Brahmas are taking birth and dying. Right? We just described how long is Lord Brahma's life, right? Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. That's what substantiates it. If your realization, your experience, your faith is in line with that, then okay. Many times I heard my Gurudev say that, according to Guru Sadhu Shastra, Prabhupada says like this, right? And that was also my experience. Then you accept it. But if he just says, okay, this is my experience, this is my idea, this is my opinion, this is my truth, who are you? Who are we, right? So it has to always be established according to the Vedic version. And Prabhupada said that's Siddhanta. The conclusion of the Vedas is only one. Not even two, Prabhupada says. So this whole idea that, well, Vaishnavas can have different opinions. Prabhupada said there's not even two opinions when it comes to Siddhanta. When it comes to the tattvas, it's a science. You can't just say, well, I know, this amount of water and oxygen create, what is it? H2O, hydrogen, oxygen. One hydrogen, two oxygen, or other way around? Two hydrogen, one oxygen. It's been a long time since I was in the chemistry class. Believe me. And I was a little bit cheating off of my Chinese friend, John, because he was the smartest guy in the class. And I didn't have time to study. So I'm sorry. I was a little bit looking over John's paper. So that's why I don't understand too much H2O. But you can't just put any amount of H's and O's and say, okay, here's some water. Right? Well, I think it should be 4 H's and 3 O's. But here's some water. Right? No, it's a science. Right? Physics, even Prabhupada says business, everything is a tattva. Everything has a science behind it. If you try to ignore that science and just speculate, own path, own way, own opinion, own feelings, own emotions, we're going to mess up everything. And that is what has messed up everything. Who got slapped? I thought someone got slapped. You just slapped yourself? Wake up. Too much talk about sleep. Every time you hear the word sleep, you're like, yeah. When you hear transcendental, you're not going, yeah. You hear sleep, you're like, yeah. That reminds me of what's coming soon, I hope. So, any other points? Yeah.
The Nitya Siddhas, when they come, Nitya Siddha devotees, when they come, when Nitya Siddha devotees, when they come, so they are not in contact with the 3 modes.
Right.
So
Prabhupada says they never in one moment of their life ever lose consciousness of Krishna.
Even during sleep, they don't go into the
Huh?
When they are sleeping, they don't go into the
You see, when all the eternal associates, they're not in Tamagun. They may be resting their body, but internally they're fully conscious, transcendental. They don't forget who they are and who is Krishna. Right? They're not getting eaten by lions at night. So a lion was eating me last night. I had a nightmare. Some shark. It makes sense? That's what Prabhupada says. It takes one to know one. So Prabhupada himself is saying like that. They never forget Krishna. They don't have material body. Apparently they do. But if the modes of nature and the contamination of the material energy is not part of them, and they're not affected by it. So which part of their gross, subtle body is material? So it doesn't, when I'm done, I'll call on you. I feel like a teacher, like I'm like scolding my kid, you know. Please excuse me. But it's tough to talk when someone's just like this. You know, he's like this, you know, you're like this, right? I'm trying to like rush the answer, you know. There's like one side, this side, that side, you know what I mean? They're like Nazis, you know. They're just like, it's a bunch of Nazis. What are they going to understand about the transcendental realm? Are we done? Whew. You're like a little kid, like when you're a father, mother, you have a kid, you know, they can't sit still, you know. If you just like sit here, sit there, you know, the kid cannot sit there. We say, you know, he has ants in his pants. The kid has ants in his pants. He can't sit there for 5 minutes. That's what these two guys, you know. They both get ants in their pants. They get ants in the brain. Like the ants are like, ask him, ask him, ask him, ask him, ask him. Get the microphone, get the microphone. This needs to be broadcasted. Okay. What is your important question? You're all right for now? This is an ongoing podcast, man. We're going deep, man. We're talking about Jiva Tattva, you know, Mahavishnu's sleeping, right? Yeah. Guru Tattva, Isha Tattva, Maya Tattva. When I looked at him, like immediately Maya. Like seriously, like I looked at him like Maya. I was forgetting for a second, you know? And I don't know, as soon as I looked at him, like Maya, okay. That triggered me, man. It triggered me. My memory came back. Personification. But he's getting better. He's in the hospital. He's Prabhupada said, take the Mahaprashadam, Jagannath Prasad, Krishna Prasadam. Here's some Hari-katha Krishna-katha, Krishna Nam. It's like a nice medicine, good information, good for your food for the soul. Right? Hopefully you can suspend all the other madness that's floating around out there or in there. At least during the class. I can't guarantee what you're going to think about when you leave here. That's up to you. Sham, you got a question, right? No? Thank God.
Mahavishnu, he is having a dream. And how come then Krishna and all his avatars, they are coming...
These guys are making me into a jnani, you know? Right? They're changing my mood. Right? Anyway.
How come then Mahavishnu is having a dream and all these material activities are going on in his dream? And how come the Krishna and the other personalities from there are coming there into Mahavishnu's dream and they're having some pastimes in Mahavishnu's dream?
Wow. Did this guy hear anything I said before? He just completely speculated and added like 4 different things into that question, which had nothing to do with what we said. Right? He basically just said Mahavishnu is he's just having this dream, and then Krishna and all the incarnations are just entering into his dream. Right? So they're all like, you know, kind of getting together and saying, let's go check out Mahavishnu's dream. Let's be part of that lila, the pastime. He's having a dream. Can you imagine Mahavishnu's dream? Let's go. That must be far out. You wanted to ask, right? You don't like my answer?
I didn't was able to.
Oh, he's getting upset with me. I must be hitting like a raw nerve, you know? Like the dentist, sometimes he hits the nerve. I hit a nerve. Wow. The Jnani got uptight, man. So that's why many times when you're asking a question, the premises of the question may sound very logical and intelligible as you're thinking and presenting it, but I'm listening to it, that how does any part of that connect according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra? So that's why, many times when my Gurudev was explaining, you see, he would stop and say, that needs like a further definition, a further explanation, because the whole premise of your conception, your question, your understanding is faulty. So unless that's adjusted, then otherwise if he doesn't adjust that to get you to understand the adjustment, you won't understand his answer. Because you'll hear that answer according to your misconception. So that won't really help you. Because you'll be like, how does that fit?
That's what happened.
That is what happened.
That's why I again asked the thing.
Huh?
That's why I again asked the thing, because I read an article of Prabhupada on the same topic, where he is talking about the humans having these material activities, they are all kind of a dream. Prabhupada is writing that in an article. So while you were giving answers to his question, so I was not able to understand.
Material world is like a dream, right? Everyone wants to be in this dream-like state of illusion. It's not based on reality. It's not based on the platform of the soul. You see? So because they want to get cheated, they want to try to enjoy separate from Krishna. They want to forget about Krishna. They need to be put into this dream state of ignorance. So although the Lord is creating that, it doesn't mean He's in it, He's part of it, He's participating in it, or He's in any way affected by it. So when it's talking about that lila, it's that He's coming and He's creating this dream-like existence. So if you think of, okay, I have this creation that I'm going to make a dream-like existence, right? That's His idea of this dream. So if you're just referring to that dream state, and then now you're kind of making it materialistic sounding, and then all of the Lord and all of His associates, they all want to participate in this kind of materialistic dream state of existence. It's also like a rasabas. That's one way. I mean, there's many more quotes. It's just we'll do a little bit at a time. But there's some other explanations which would actually probably also help you further to understand this idea about dream state. But you see, if we're looking from it, like Prabhupada says, if you're looking from it from your materialistic sides is required in order for that ultimate mercy of transcendental revelation to be mercifully shared to us. This is what I learned from my Gurudev, and this is what he showed me in Prabhupada's books and teachings, and what may appear to you to be some kind of deviation or some emphasis or things that you didn't previously hear. I understand all of that, because for me it was also similar. But then when I went there, every day that's what Gurudev from Prabhupada's books talked about. So if you're sitting there, month after month, year after year, hearing this type of discussion, that's going to become your, welcome to reality. And then once you understand that by their mercy, then now you can compare, wow, I was really, what was I thinking? Krishna will hide himself from you. So you can go on reading that for millions of births. Right? Why do you think, Lord Brahma gets bewildered by the Lord? We talked about this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Such a great scholar. He couldn't recognize Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He didn't realize that he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. With all of his brilliance, with all of his intelligence, with all of his scholarship, with all of his knowledge and remembrance of all of the Vedas, all of the Shastra, he was not able to understand that. Because he didn't, and he admitted that I tried to understand it materially. I got mercy. And because I got that mercy by his causeless mercy, although I'm compared to you, what am I? But somehow I understand it. So then he got completely humbled out. Mahaprabhu just bewildered him. Because then he came to the point that all my intelligence, all my scholarship, all of my everything was blocking me from understanding. Maybe they're not so, maybe they mean well, but it's just not the right situation, time, place, circumstance, candidate. All right, we're good? All right? Way that's accurate with faith and potency, then if you're simple enough and you have enough faith in Srila Prabhupada, then how are you not accepted? That's why I say the fact that they're not accepting these quotes is not a good sign. They cannot accommodate it. That means they're avoiding it. That means they're threatened by it. Well, what are they threatened by? What are they trying to protect? That's the question. All right, last thing. I gotta make him happy because I chastised him earlier. I gotta make him feel like alright.
Only devotional service will set us free. Only devotional service will set us free. That devotional service will liberate us. And
he's saying only by bhakti can we become liberated.
By liberated? Is that your goal, to be liberated?
Liberated. I'm read this thing, so I'm just telling this.
He's what?
He's given a quote from Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter.
It says if you do bhakti, you'll get liberated?
No, he said bhakti. I didn't say bhakti. Yeah.
He said devotional service.
You see?
And he said, Prabhupada says that's why we have this Vedas. That's why we have this Vedic system of Varna and Ashram, and we have instructions in them.
And what?
That's why we have the system of Varna, Ashram, and we have instructions according to that Varna and particular Ashram.
Just ask Krishna, what Krishna do you want me to do? I don't know Varna, Ashram. Krishna, what do you want me to do? Right? Just pray to Krishna. I'm your servant. I want to surrender. I want to offer loving devotional service in a way that you'll accept it. What service can I do that will please you? That's it. And then Krishna will tell you. Inside, outside, through the Guru, through the Shastra, all confirmation will come to you. The problem is not from Krishna's side. Krishna in a heartbeat, he can convince you. The problem is from our side. That's the problem. So, or you sometimes ask devotees, and like, I'm trying to figure out what to do, and this, and they're getting like sweating, telling me everything that they're thinking and doing, and this and that, and then after 2 hours, then I asked them, well, did you ever ask Krishna what he wants you to do? And they said, they look at me like, wow, we never heard that before. Like, what? You're in this movement for how many years and you never prayed to Krishna and asked Krishna, how can I serve you? What are you doing? What is the point of everything you're doing? So what are you trying to figure out? Krishna already figured it out. All we have to do is, Krishna, what did you figure out for me? What do you think is best for me? What can I do practically? Krishna knows us better than we know ourselves. Krishna knows past, present, and the future. We don't even know what we're doing in the present. What to speak of the future? So we have to ask Krishna. But if we don't really want to know, because it might not be convenient with our idea or plan, and you're not trusting Krishna, and then you're not coming in a mood of devotion and surrender, well, why should Krishna tell you anything? You figure it out. You're acting as own guru, you figure it out. Otherwise, well, according to my Daivi Varnashram system, I'm in this ashram, and this is my nature, and what are you going to concoct? Some savor according to your Varnashram position? Even if you can know, according to Shastra, predominantly what mode of nature you're in, which is mostly Tamagun, with a little bit of Rajagun, with a hope of Sattvagun, more or less, especially before we get mercy of Guru Krishna, right? Because all of that precludes before we get that mercy. So then what mode is it? How you got rid of your Tamagun and your Rajagun? By your impeccable sadhana? By your namaparad? So we're assuming a lot. And because nobody telling us, we don't know. And then when you hear that, like, wow, yeah, I'm assuming a lot. How can I already be, I'm headed from Rajagun to Sattvagun. And then we didn't really start the process of Cetodapana Marjana. Right? We're chanting the mantra which has not been activated yet. So we have a SIM card. You bought the SIM card, but you didn't activate it yet. You have the phone, you got the SIM card, you're trying to make calls. Not working. Then their friend says, well, did you get it activated? He's like, no, I just thought you stick it in the phone and then it works. No, you gotta activate. You gotta get it activated. That's why it says if you chant the mantra and it's not in that Sambandha Gyan, in that bona fide disciplic succession, there's no Shakti in the mantra. So how you give up mental speculation? How we'll chant where it is Cetodapana Marjana, where Krishna is manifesting in that chanting, so much so that we feel deep type of purification of mind, intelligence, and senses. So those are things we have to scientifically understand and judge by the results. All right, so this is a big topic, big subject matter. I don't want to go on too much more. I hope that's helpful to you. I'm very happy to meet everybody. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Are you together?
No. I know her
Germany.
from Germany.
Oh, very
And I
nice.
helped her to come here.
Oh, you asked her to come?
No, I helped her to come to Mayapur. She
Oh,
wanted to come to India, so I said, oh, you should come to Mayapur then.
Oh.
With my wife and with her.
nice, nice. Yeah, she's been coming regularly.
Yeah.
I asked her how much she understanding. She said like 30-40%.
Yeah.
Day
Maximum.
50.
50? Really? Wow!
Comes more and more.
Every day, little better.
Yes.
Sometimes they're speaking English, I don't know what they're saying. I'm like deaf. Everyone has a different kind of, how do you call it? What is it? Like an accent. Everybody thinks that they're the only ones who don't have an accent. Isn't it? Everybody thinks when I'm speaking, everyone must clearly understand me. But for everyone else, the accent is difficult to pick it up. Right? But we're speaking perfectly clear. I can't pick up English accent. If they start talking like, British, I can't pick up that accent. I don't know if it was from the American Revolution. At some point, I shut off from those Anglo-Saxons. And they're puffed up anyway. Anyway, I don't want to get too political here. I don't want to jump from Mahavishnu sleeping to the British, colonial, demoniac. All right, what is it? He's another like your kid, right? Like you're ready to go and you got to tell your kid, all right, what do you want? What do you want?
Hari-katha. So when I'm praying to Krishna, like I feel that like there is no strength or shakti in my prayers.
That's how Krishna feels. That's exactly how Krishna feels. You're a perfect reflection of how Krishna is perceiving you. That's what it says, it's like a mirror.
How can I increase the quality and shakti of my prayer?
Are you satisfied with your weak, superficial, sentimental, theoretical prayers? So is Krishna going to be? So that means we have some work to do. We have to, when you hear ourselves praying, you ask yourself, if you were Krishna, would you accept that prayer? Right? Do you really buy that prayer that you just said from your lips? Do you really think, are you even yourself convinced by that prayer? So how Krishna is going to be convinced? Even we're not convinced. So if we're not convinced what we really want, materially or spiritually, we're not going to convince Krishna. So even if you have material desire, material attachment, material conception, all of this thing is there. But if you're in your heart of hearts, from the deepest recesses of your soul that you can possibly understand, from that platform, if you're praying, Krishna, I don't want all these other things. It's deep-rooted, I'm attached, it's attracted, it's all anartha, but in spite of that, I want to surrender. We want to surrender to you. It's not that all of this is gone and then you just completely surrender. We have to pray in the middle of that and be more convinced that we want to surrender to Krishna than we want to stay serving Maya in the, under the modes of material nature, with whatever material attachments, desires, sinful reactions, which may still be there. Because you're just beginning, of course it's still there. You're not offering that prayer and it's like you're already in anata nivritti. but we want to clean it up. That's why Prabhupada was saying, when you realize that you're in a diseased condition, and you say, I can't live like this anymore. I need to give it up. I need the cure. I need a solution. I need to solve the problems of my life. I can't go on like that, right? Then if we can realize that and convince Krishna and just ask him for help, how to do it, because we have nothing. We have no qualification. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you're a Patita Pavan. I'm definitely Patita. So I'm doing my part. I'm realizing that really that I'm Patita and you're Patita Pavana. So unless you shower your causeless mercy on me, I have no chance. I have no hope. That's my only hope. If we realize that and we're convinced of that, then we're going to be able to convince Krishna. If we hear ourselves praying and we're just like, oh, come on. You're saying big words and you're not giving up whatever your material attachments are, then it's just useless. Better beat yourself. Right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right? Sharanagati, he's just beating himself. He's saying, just completely humbling himself up. And then you're doing that at the same time praying to the Lord and the Vaishnavas, then they may shower mercy on us. But if we I don't need to be saved. Thanks, anyway. If when I need to get saved, I'll give you a text message, But then, okay, then no one's going to save you. Then just be your own guru, go on speculating, go on plan making, groping in the dark. My Gurudev used to call it the groping, you're just groping in the dark. You have no idea what are you doing. We have to realize that. That's self-realization. Okay? So try harder, be more convinced, try to convince Krishna. If you're not convinced, then be honest with yourself and Krishna. And say, Krishna, I don't blame you for not accepting this prayer. I wouldn't accept that prayer if I was you. Right? Then at least you're being honest. My Guru said, if you're honest, at least there's a chance. If we're not even being honest about it, we're in complete illusion, lost, then it's all just nonsense. It's useless. Means we didn't start yet. First, wake up. Realize the condition. And then be convinced that you want to change it. And then convince Krishna, I need your mercy and help to be able to change it. Otherwise, it's impossible. Something like that. Try it. See for yourself. Get your own realization. Everyone has to practice it. Nobody can do it for somebody else. When you're chanting, we're chanting, it's between us and Krishna. Nobody else is there. Krishna is there, you're there. You're Paramatma, Super Soul, Krishna, and you were there. Okay. Now how much are we really trying to pay attention and surrender to Krishna? How much we're trying to hear from Krishna? How much we're begging for mercy, causeless mercy. So we have to be conscious and honest. And then we have to be more and more convinced to the point that we can convince Krishna. Then mercy automatically will come. Alright, thank you everybody very much. Shishi Gaunitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gaur Govinda Swami, Srila Gurudev ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Are you ready for sleep now?
Yes.
Like a yogi or like a deep sleep? Shuddhatama. Oh, you're going to have to hand them out tonight. The two kids in the front row, they took my last petrol that I had. Huh?
They are giving more class to the kids.